Hello again, Fair Intrepid Viewer. I am your host, as always, the Archivist. Now, today, we will be... I don't know why I keep saying that. I will be showcasing and talking about the Big Con Job Issue 2. Provocative, ain't it? Anyway. So, this picks up a little while after the first comic, and it introduces two new characters that are also down on hard times. I'm not entirely sure what their relationship entirely was. I guess they were other actors that were on Trek Wars, and shows them being on hard times. They get called in, and then we meet this was it Danny King or something like that? The pretty boy, the big shot in Hollywood that was mentioned in the first issue, and we see he lives this extravagant lifestyle. He's in the penthouse. He has basically prostitutes, I don't know what the word for it, working girls or whatever, women of the night or something. And it turns out that he's living this extravagant lifestyle. The manager says, we have this big plan, we're going to have the meeting now, and so basically it's an exposition scene, an info dump, and a bit of a backstory as to why he came up with this plan in the first place. If he's so great, why does he need this thing? And it turns out it's not to care about the old people, it's to use them to pull off the heist in order for them to pay off a blackmailer so that a certain video of said actor guy, King, whatever his name is, doesn't get publicized and have to go through that stuff a lot of actors tend to go through. Just bad publicity. So that's the reason for the heist plan to begin with. And I don't know if he set it up for them to take the fall, or is he planning on letting them keep the money and disappear as a thank you? I'm not really sure. He didn't really specify that part. He just said he needed to use them to get the money. Fall guy or group or people is not mentioned or hinted at, so I'm not entirely sure what exactly his plan for the elderly to do afterwards really is. So it's kind of either or at this point. But yeah, now we see the nature, the reason for the plan. The comic is solid. It really does feel genuine. It opens up with the older lady, hot chick, I think it was Blaze, I think. She, I guess it's supposed to kind of copy Spock's thing, because after no, not Spock. What did I say Spock for? No, not Spock. Kirk. It parodies Kirk's thing when he went from Star Trek to T.J. Hooker, where he became a cop, and it shows her. She went from that show, which is a space opera in space or whatever, to this PI thing. And it shows her she had like a high-running, successful season, just as T.J. Hooker was. It was pretty popular after Star Trek. And then it pans back, pulls out of the scene or whatever that she was showcasing, and it shows that her audience is a bunch of 10-year-old kids in radiology. Yeah. That's her fan base. And they apparently know a lot about the series, so they're really into it. And they said, thanks for this week. Come again. And then the guy running the place comes up to her and says, "Oh wait, one of the mothers found out that you made that movie after the series." And we said, "But that was a hard time, and I really needed the work." And they said, "Sorry, but we're dropping you." Because she feels she wants to protect her child. Yeah. So, she says, well, can I at least say goodbye next week? He said, no, this was your last showing here. And he's kind of sympathetic about it. And she leaves, and she waves goodbye to children through the glass window and all that. And I thought, oh, the kids are never going to know what the fuck happened to her. It's like she just left or something. But one of the kids actually noticed that when he was waving goodbye that she was sad when she did. And he goes up to the window and you could see in that last panel, he's like looking out at her like really sad looking. Like, that's good. I like that. So I'm guessing we're going to hear from them again. I hope we hear from them again. And so she goes outside, and her agent calls her up and says, "Oh, by the way, if you sign the thing, a contract, you're going to be headliner and part company owner for a golf line." It's a golf line, you may ask. Well, it's a lot like a mulf, actually, except the word grand is put in the front. Yeah, when I heard that, it's like, oh, shit. You don't, like, that's like almost like insulting somebody, It's like, oof. Yeah, I'd be pissed too. I would. It's like, wow, okay. So she, reasonably does get really upset at him for that, and says 1,000 times, no, I'm not doing that. I don't care what it pays. And he says, then I start talking about Comic-Con and, their next gig, and that's when they all meet up at MegaCon. No, they meet up again in New York at something called, it's supposed to be some sort of parody name, like Ash Pine Studios is the next segment afterwards, and it's supposed to be, it's that place in England where, they filmed Superman and 007, I forget what it's called, but something Pine Studios, I forget what the first part is, but yeah, I think they called it that because of the fact that I think it burned down, or parts of it burned down over the past couple of years. Stuff happens, but anyway, so they go on the go thing, and they talk about it. It says, what are our options? Still dire. What are our options? Still dire. What are our options? Still dire. So it kind of repeats that a little bit. Showcase, yes, we know. Like in the first comic, it's still dire. We don't need to see that it's still dire for other people as well. We kind of know it's dire. But I guess they wanted to still say that why these characters are still coming in as well. So they're in the same boat. So I guess they don't need to repeat that after this because they're not bringing in anyone else. So, hopefully. And then they meet up, they discuss. We see Mr. King for the first time with the lovely ladies. And they have the dump, they have the exposition scene, they have the show of hands, how many people are going in on this. And that's the end of the issue. So I still recommend it. It still has heart in all of its scenes, even though it does times does this one more directly parodies actors I've known about, places that I have heard about. So this one's references I do get, as opposed to the other one I don't really get a whole lot of them. Now I just haven't gotten them yet, or I just never heard of them. I don't know. But yeah, this is a good comic. It's just as good as the first one, so the enjoyability level is still high. It still keeps your interest. You still like these characters. It has a little less sadness in this thing. Like your heart doesn't feel quite as heavy as it was in the first one, because the first one someone committed suicide. This one, the Blaze character is kind of more showcasing her heartache. Because we didn't really see her heartache. We actually saw her doing kind of well in the first issue, so now we see her heartache. Like this like really just like rips your heart out. I mean, the cancer patients, for the love of crying out loud, you need to keep their spirits up. At anything, you have to keep these kids peppy. That's like a major part of getting over cancer. Trust me, I know. Keeping a positive spirit really makes a difference in people's lives. So, I feel bad for these kids. Honestly, I do. And they're like, is anyone else really that popular with this show still that still wants to meet these people? You know, as we're showing, they're the only real fan base for any real demand for her. And anyway, so I highly recommend it, and I'm looking forward for the next issue, because then they'll be at, well, maybe they're going to train to go to Comic-Con, or they'll be at Comic-Con. Who's to really say? But I'm still looking forward for the next installment. So until then, fair intrepid viewer, take care, and as always, see you on the other side of the issue. Bye.